ladies and gentlemen, patch day is here. The buffs are so much more than I imagined. So like I said in the video, unless something unexpected happens, the buffs are just going to be okay. Well, guess what? Something unexpected did happen. And what is the unexpected thing that happened? They changed aspect of the alpha to a multiplicative multiplier. This is one of the things I'm saying that they needed to do to fix wolves. I've been saying it forever. I said make this multiplicative and then make it a tagged werewolf ability. Did they do the tagged werewolf ability? No, they did not. But this is a step in the right direction. Okay, a huge step in the right direction, because now your wolves do way more damage, and you're going to see it especially once we get to the bossing in the video, because you need to keep in mind bosses have 100% increased health whenever you go and you watch that clip, right? So they actually have double the health now, and you can see that, yeah, it was no problem killing that boss very quickly. So that being said, what are the other changes? So wolves now do 55%. It was 35%. Now keep in mind I have 19 ranks in wolves. I have the maxed out ranks in wolves, so yours is not going to look like that unless you have, like, Storm's Companion. You have +3 ranks in your amulet, and you also have the +4 ranks in your wolves, so keep that in mind. So yes, this went from 35 to 55% for me being maxed out, and it'll be like, if you don't have full ranks, it'll be around like 50% or something for you, right? So that's actually pretty big. That means that the passive damage was almost doubled. Not quite doubled, obviously 15% off, so I guess, well, actually maybe it was increased by like 50% is a better, more accurate term, right? Or 60%. So that's cool in terms of the base damage. On the active, so the active for me did about 275 before the patch, and now it is 378. So that's another huge buff. Keep in mind, wolves are now also doing 5% more multiplicative damage from their passive there, where it says they deal 25% increased damage to mobilized, stunned, slowed, or poisoned enemies. You also have, when you critically strike, your wolves gain 25% attack speed, which I'm actually running that now. I think it's not too bad. I actually got rid of my fortified stuff and decided to do this just to really try to amp up the attack speed of my wolves, and so far I actually really like it. So anyway, so that's the buffs to wolves. When it comes to ravens, so ravens is doing quite a bit more damage. It's at 106%. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was before, but I want to say it was like maybe like 75%. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to remember, because I remember ravens passive was higher than wolves. I'd have to go look, but what I can tell you is the damage on ravens passives has been 4x'd. I do still think that there is a bug going on. So if you saw the last video that I made about ravens, you saw that it said that they were supposed to be doing like, let's see, 10 to 20% damage or so, or something like that, right? Or sorry, it was supposed to do 20,000 damage or something like that. And then when I went out there, they were only doing 2,500 damage a hit. Well, now when I go outside, I'll go ahead and I'll run outside here to show you. But now it says they're supposed to be doing 70,000, but they're only doing 10,000 a hit. So while I do still think that the damage is bugged and it's not doing as much as intended, right, you can see here 57,000 to 70,000, it is still technically doing 4x more damage, right? Even though I still think it's a little bugged, it's still doing 4x more damage. And then let's go over here. Another change they made that's also big, so 40%, and they did make it a multiplicative buff. So this is huge for ravens because it's multiplicative. So they didn't make this additive. They didn't troll us. That's amazing. So that's pretty cool, right? So you can see that this went from like 21,000 all the way up to 70,000. So it's doing like 4x more damage in terms of how much damage it's actually doing. I do think it's bugged and not doing the appropriate amount of damage on the passive still, but that's okay. On the wolves, so the wolves here you can see before, I think the top end was like 21 or 25,000. It's now all the way up to 40,775. So that's pretty cool. However, they made aspect of the alpha a multiplicative buff. Now, I will say this, right? So you can see they're hitting for 27,000, 28,000, yada yada, right? 38, actually just hit for 38,000 there, right? So you can see that, and since they're able to hit for 38,000, you can see that in fact they are getting like that multiplicative buff. It's not factoring it in whenever you walk outside here, because I noticed that whenever I moved it from my gloves over to here, the damage still stayed the same, but I can actually see the damage increase in terms of the damage. Like you saw, it hit for 38,000. If they have armor, they should never be hitting for 38,000 because enemies do in fact have armor and resistances and stuff like that. So that means that it was probably hitting for closer to like 50 to 55,000 or something like that. So then once you factor in armor, it would go down to like the 38,000 that you saw on that one hit, right? Now I do still think the passive damage is bugged because the passive damage seems kind of inconsistent in terms of whenever I let them hit things. Sometimes I'll see things like 28,000 and all of a sudden I'll see like a 40,000, right? And it's not like a crit or anything, so there's something going on with the passive still, but overall, even with the passive bugs, you're seeing much more damage because for reference, you saw 38,000 hit on the wolves. Guess what? They were doing 12,000 before. So again, we're seeing almost a 3x increase in their passive damage, right? So these are huge buffs. Like, make no mistake, these are really big buffs, right? I'm not trying to downplay it just because there's still something weird and buggy going on with the passives, but these are huge buffs, okay? So anyways, so those are the buffs. Those are the hidden changes. Oh, the other thing too is that the Barber does not seem to factor in your companion damage anymore. However, it does not matter. I'm noticing like it doesn't seem to factor in your companions anymore. However, it's not a big deal because since they 3x their damage, you don't really notice it anyway. And I think the active damage is still going into the Barber, but like I don't know, like it's weird. Like I don't think their passive damage is going in, but it looks like their active is going in. So like now there's this weird interaction with companions in the Barber, so I don't know what the heck happened there. But again, you'll see it doesn't matter. Like the build is still very obviously better than what it was before, and the fact that it doesn't need to have like as much of a reliance on Barber is actually a good thing, right? So like the fact that they're killing things without Barber procs, right, or and stuff like that, and like they're killing things, and with the Barber being all weird and not like factoring their damage sometimes and yada yada, is probably be a good sign that they're much stronger than what they were before. Not to mention, because this is a multiplicative buff, you now don't have to rely so much on Storm's Companion, because when you look at like Storm's Companion and you look at like, you know, what it really adds for them, right? Like, so it gives them this Thunderstruck, so when they crit, they're going to crit quite a bit more. They're going to do 30% increased critical strike damage against vulnerable or immobilized enemies, so that's pretty good, but that's also conditional. So if for some reason you crit against something that's not vulnerable or immobilized, you're not going to get that. Then after that, you're getting like, you know, some storm damage buffs here, right? You're getting like some storm skill buffs, but these are additive, so they're not that big of a deal. I'd say the main thing that you lose is probably these, because you have nature magic skills deal 12% increased damage to elites, and then nature storm skills deal increased damage to enemies that are stunned, immobilized, or knocked back. But keep in mind, again, that's conditional, so this is not happening all the time. As well as, I don't believe you can even immobilize bosses, so it's like it doesn't even apply to bosses. This is going to be the main one I would say that they would lose, but it's 12%. So overall, like, it's not like when you factor how much damage you lose now for taking off Storm's Companion versus the resistances that you gain, it does suck that you lose the functionality of the dash that they do, but it's much more feasible now to not run Storm's Companion with this like just massive change here. So it's really good. But anyways, so yeah, that's really all I have to say here so far about it. We'll go ahead and I'm going to hop into a dungeon. I'll show you guys you know, how the damage works, and then I'll show you guys the bossing damage, because the bossing damage is definitely higher than what it was before, for sure. Because I can like the passives across the boarding for Poison Creep are all dealing way more damage. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and hop on into that. Here we go. This is what we needed right here. Okay. Oh, come on. Freaking heavy attack. Yeah, and I mean, that's like, I like the Barber's not even going off, and I'm killing these elites now. Like, I just chunked that dude for quite a bit of his health with the wolf active there. And you can, yeah, see it, it's just one-shotting the white packs. Granted, keep in mind the radius in which the wolves hit whenever they do their little dash is lower, but it can be kind of low. But okay, let's see here, right here. Yeah, so I chunked it for like 25% of his HP. So that's something. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know, I chunked it for 30% of his HP whenever I hit with a wolf active and up the alpha buff, because now, like, if you take off Storm's Companion, it's just not going to be as big of a deal. Like, it's just not, like, yeah, you're going to see a damage decrease, but I think wolves are going to be much more... Oh, shit. Okay. There, I go dying to Death Pulse again. Right, because, I actually... Because, like, you're kind of seeing here, too, like, the survivability is probably the bigger issue here, and that's definitely the bigger issue the higher up you go. So, being able to take off Storm's Companion is going to be pretty nice. And I also have an amulet on that does not have the, it just has better companion rolls on it. That's why I put it on for this test. But I actually have one that has double damage reduction plus the companion stuff, which I think is definitely the best thing you can do. Okay, yeah, like this is just, see, this is 6 levels higher than me, and it's just kind of shredding. Let's see here, destroy skeletal constructs. Okay. Oop. Come on. And I mean, yeah, the elites are just dropping like flies. And I'm not even like, I don't even think I've gotten like a solid Barber test yet. That's the thing. Okay. So much Death Pulse, my gosh. Yeah, not bad at all. Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is interesting, actually. I don't know if your companion damage is actually going into the Barber anymore. Changes. Now, that actually makes a lot of sense. I was like, man, it feels like there's a lot of stuff in this thing. Okay. Yeah, okay. Bam. Just shredding through the elites. Like, goddamn, man. Alright. Now, it is time to test out the bossing damage. I'm curious to see how this goes. Tomb Lord. Okay. Well, yeah, so okay, so this is interesting because you can see. All right, yeah, so I think that actually kind of confirmed it. I don't think our companion damage is going into the Barber anymore, which kind of sucks, but at the same time, like, you saw how fast that thing died, right? Like, even without it. So, like, it's like, I think there was a slight nerf to companions with the Barber, but then at the same time, they got such a huge buff, it's like, who even cares, you know? Like, this is pretty big stuff here, guys. Like, this is pretty big buffs. I mean, that was a boss that, hold on here, let me see. Let me go look at the patch notes real fast. Let's look at these patch notes. I just want to go ahead. So keep in mind, turns out, yeah, huge. This is just an astronomical buff for companions, guys. Like, they did something I said to do, like that I said in the video, that until they do this, like, you know, like, they need to make Aspect of the Alpha a multiplicative buff, and they did. Okay, look. So look at this. Bosses at level 100 have 100% increased health. So roughly, it looks like for every level, they get 10% increased health, right? Or, sorry, no. They get 1% increased health for every level, right? So bosses at level 100 have 100% increased health. So that means this thing had double the health it had last patch, and I just shredded through it, and it was 6 levels higher than me. So, like, I think that's a pretty good indication that these buffs are pretty big. Bosses at level, now granted, Tomb Lord is not like the craziest hardest boss, so keep that in mind, but still, it had double the health, and it really, like it didn't feel like it took me a whole lot of time to kill that thing. Same thing, so bosses at level 120 have 120, yeah, so about 1% for every level. Now bosses at level 150 have 150% increased health. So I mean, yeah, guys, huge, just huge buffs. Just, I don't know, I don't even know what to say. Like, I'm actually surprised. Like, literally the only thing they can do now, because the only thing they can do to make companions better is, one, because they did what I asked. Like, I have to give Blizzard credit. They made this multiplicative. Oh, sorry, they made this multiplicative. You can see the X byte. It was a plus last time before this patch. And you can visibly see just the damage, the damage increase to wolves was wild. Like, you could see everything was just ticking down. You had the poison creeper going on it, when you had the wolf damage going on it, when you had the raven damage going on it. Like, you could see it was just like fucking whittling away at that boss. And then you saw like the Barber damage chunks on top of that. So it's like, I don't know. The only thing they could do to make wolves better now, I think, is, I don't know, maybe, is to make this like a tagged werewolf ability. Other than that, I mean, I can't really say that they need to do anything else to wolves, because they already buffed their survivability. When it comes to ravens, obviously the one thing that I would improve on this now, because I think they've done quite a bit for the passive damage. They've probably done enough. They need to probably fix whatever bug is going on with that, because I don't think it's doing the amount of damage it says it's supposed to do. But at the same time, they need to make a legendary for it that turns it into like a core skill or something like that, and that would be pretty sweet. You know, you start putting like these like where you just start casting these everywhere. I think would be super cool, right? So if they did that and then gave it like a good multiplier like what wolves has now, yeah, I mean, I just don't, like, that's really it. It's like all they can really do, I think, to make buffs. And then, they could also do things like, give them like a paragon tree, but I'm sure that will happen in the future. But yeah, overall, good job, Blizzard. I'm pretty happy with these changes. I mean, granted, this doesn't mean companions are like the S tier Giga Broken build. No, they're not. Okay, but are they a hell of a lot more playable than what they were? Yes, they are. Are they a lot stronger than what they were? Yeah, I would say so, especially damage-wise. So, anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed this look at the companion buffs and the kind of the update to the Zoo companion build, switching around those legendaries. But anyways, like, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.